Alright, the countdown begins. 1 week left until the upcoming show, and this table's got to be done before then. So some good news is that today I got in my guardrail. This is resin cast 1/64 scale guardrail, and this will go along the road like this, and we'll continue on the whole way till the end of the display, and also have it in a couple other areas on the table as well. But I got to make some supports for this, and also make some mangled up pieces, which will go in this area where the truck's down over the embankment. And I also got to take time before I do anything and soak this in some acetone to remove the releasing agent from when it was taken out of the mold. But after that, should be ready for primer, paint, and then hopefully installation. And I purchased this guardrail from Mark Vicker at Mark's Toy Box. He does die-cast replicas and other 1/64 scale items. And aside from this guardrail, he's got other resin pieces for other areas on displays, such as garages, stores, auto shops, junkyards, farm, and so on. So if you're interested, I'll leave links to his pages in the video description if you want to check them out. Just a little note, I am not being paid to say anything, was not told to mention him, he's not a sponsor, and I'm just saying this because I like his products. So yeah, get that little bit of house cleaning out of the way for those of you that think I do ads. But another thing I did today was worked on this truck, mainly the trailer. I got the trailer mangled up, and I'll have little pieces of cargo out the front here, like just blew out the front of the trailer and what have you. So yeah, that was a nice little project for today. The bridges are currently in primer, and this is the paint I'll be painting them in, sort of a sandstone color, I think. But one downside is that garage I showed in the last video. This is what remains of it. And you're probably wondering, well, what happened? I got this painted, and I put it on top of the heater to basically cure the paint faster, and it ended up getting knocked off, fell on the cement, and yeah, completely broke. So I can fix this, and it is salvageable. It's just a setback that I didn't really need at this time. But unfortunately, not much I can do about it now. I'm going to start laying the ballast, and I'll start with this small piece of track right here before the crossing, and the rest I'll do off camera. But for the displays I've built in the past, I've used this medium ballast. This is gray number B1382. And unfortunately, I'm in short supply of this right now, or at least enough to do this stretch of track. So instead, I'm going to be using what I have on hand, which is this gray blend, number B1394. And I actually purchased this for the parking lot of my excavation company, and I was quite impressed with how it looked, and I think it'll look even better ballasting tracks with it, because this is a gray blend and not just gray ballast like what I was using before. So I'm really curious to see how this looks. And in addition to the ballast, I'm going to need a spoon to spread it on the tracks, and use a paintbrush to even it out. I sprayed the tracks with that 50-50 mix that I had in the spray bottle, and that's just to temporarily hold it down. But now I'm going to go back with some more of that 50-50 mix, this time in a cup here. I'm going to put it down with this dropper here, and that'll get the ballast more saturated with glue. Hopefully it'll stick better. And apparently this is the traditional way of ballasting tracks. Last thing to do is go back through with a paper towel and wipe the tracks. Even though I don't plan on hooking up power, I want to keep these clean. And if you're doing model railways, you'll want to keep your tracks clean of this glue residue, because that'll hinder performance and you won't have good contact with the wheels. The ballasting's done, and everything I did to this bit of track right here, I did to all this track all the way up to the end of the table. So as soon as that glue dries, this ballast will be secured down and won't be going anywhere. Now, something I do wish I did, which I didn't, is I wish I would have waited to put these boards in until after I had the ballasting done, because you can see the foam underneath all this, and at a distance it's not noticeable, but you know, if you get up close, rivet counters, they're gonna see that little detail. But I mean, I wouldn't say my display is really realistically accurate anyways, so I don't know, personally I'm happy with it. I got things somewhat put back together so you can see how it looks now that the tracks have been ballasted. And in the words of Marty from Marty's Matchbox Makeovers, I'm happy with that. And definitely a big difference now that the tracks have been ballasted. Just going along there, back along the crossing, then further back along the road, back under the bridges. So yeah, personally I'm impressed with that, and really happy that project's done. And another thing is this gate over here. I finished the little entryway into the pasture there. You can see you got dirt along the road and a little bit of grass on top of it inside the pasture. And another little project I've been working on is this shed again. If you remember, I dropped this, or well, more like knocked it off the heater onto the cement and got it glued back together. But the only downside is that the seam lines are more pronounced now, and I had those hidden before, basically using my sand and prime method, and pretty much after breaking it and gluing it back together, those are noticeable again. So I'm going to have to go back and sand this, prime it, probably sand it again and then prime it, and hopefully 2 coats of primer and 2 sandings will get me to where I was before, and then I can go in and paint the white trim on the building, paint the interior white, get the decals on, and then this will be done. So with all the turf and gravel and ballast down and all the landscaping done, I can go ahead and start painting the roads, which is just going to be a coat of flat black paint, and then mask them off and paint the lines. The bridges are getting close to being ready for paint as well. They just need a little bit more primer and some sanding, but I should have them done here by the end of the week. And right between the road and the field here, I want to plant a tree line, and that'll be easy. Just got to drill some holes in the table and put the trees in. And over here at the bottom of this embankment, I want to put in an old abandoned fence line. And I'm going for an older look. It's not going to be like the fence that I used for this pasture over here. I want more of like a post and barbed wire look, and something that'll look like, you know, this hayfield here used to be a pasture at one time. But I want to have a look of decay, post laying on the ground, wire laying on the ground, and then it'll also give something for the truck that falls down over the embankment, basically something to fall into, give it more of an interesting look. And also got to get guardrail put up here along the road here at the top of the embankment. And speaking of which, I did take time to get the guardrail cleaned today. Cleaned it in acetone, and now I just got to go back and sand all the pieces to get rid of casting flash. I got to get supports made for these and glued on, but then they'll be ready for primer, paint, and hopefully installation on the display by the end of the week. So yeah, making progress, still a bit of work to be done, and as the clock continues to tick down, really hoping to get things finished here by the time showtime comes around.